But that's the story of how a Sunday school teacher who gives the appearance of being tremendous winds up dying of AIDS. I got saved June 20th, 1980 in Ocean City, New Jersey. And shortly after that, I got involved with church. A husband and a wife came to my wife and I, befriended us. They ran a Sunday school there and invited us to Sunday school. So we attended their Sunday school. They invited us under their wing. Nancy and Don, their name were. Great job. They were really nice. They helped us out a lot. Had a big yellow Cadillac, which was really neat in 1980. And so we got close, and turns out she's in some of my master's counseling classes. So we actually became partners in that also. So that was kind of interesting tie. After a while, they invited us to dinner. For a while, we went to dinner at their house, and their younger daughter was there to help us. So she was like our little waitress. She was like 7 at the time, or 8 or something like that. So it was kind of neat. Then all of a sudden, one day, the daughter is now at the school where I'm counseling, and she's a little distraught. And she asked me if I could take her home. Back then, we did that. So I drove her back to her house. Before I tell you what she told me there, her father was the church organist and was a big pianist in the front of the church, and the head Sunday school teacher for the adults. A sharp guy, really talented, tall, thin, really good looking. Mother was really good looking. The kids were everybody, they were just a sharp family. Like, you would look at them and say, that is a great Christian family. That's what we want to model after. And when I got in her, but I remember that I hadn't seen him for about 3 weeks. And she came out and told me, oh, my dad went to New York and he died. I said, what do you mean your dad died? Yeah, he died of that new disease. I don't know what they call it. I said, you mean like AIDS? She goes, yeah, I think that's what it is. And she said, I'm so sorry. What do you want me to do? Is there anything to do? Oh, Mom's in that. So that's that. That all works out. That's a mess because he's a teacher. He's a Sunday school teacher. Now he dies. Come to find out, he had AIDS. Come to find out, he was gay. Come to find out, he was lying to everybody. That's only the beginning of the story. A couple months later, the son, who was really a sharp kid, was just finishing up senior year in high school, had like an assembly, and he actually preached the gospel in a public school to staff and kids because of an award he won for something else. Unbelievably powerful. A couple days later, he's driving home from girlfriend's house, gets in a car accident, gets killed. Just flat out thing. I never saw so many people at a funeral at that time. So this family is going through unbelievable turmoil. The one daughter moves away to Connecticut, I think. The other daughter gets in trouble with a prominent person in town under the boardwalk and different kind of things. It wasn't good. So I take the younger girl under the wing because she's counseling, and my office are talking, and we go to church and that kind of stuff. And she's a very talented kid. She's starts to go into some plays, different kind of plays. So my wife and I go to the plays with her, like Annie and South Pacific, that kind of stuff. A summer theater, they called it, help her out. And then they decide they have to move because they can't afford anything because he left them in debt. So they moved to Chicago. She doesn't want to move. She wants to finish up school, so she was going to live with us. She moved in with us for about a week. She was our babysitter. She babysat our kids by that time, my son Bobby and daughter Kristen. And but then she moved away. Before she moved away, one of the things, and what I usually say now, I say it only takes one misstep to destroy things. The dad obviously took a big misstep, but the girl was a really bright girl, sharp, nice as you could possibly imagine. She gets a job doing a popular jeans commercial in New York City. So she does that. She starts missing school. Let it go because they're going through all kinds of different things. They move to Chicago. I kind of lose base with them. She winds up starring in a daytime soap opera, playing 2 parts. A little bit later than that, she winds up becoming a movie star, an actress in a lot of big movies with Harrison Ford and a couple other things. Her name was Heche, and her mom was Nancy Heche and Don Heche. and the sisters. Nathan was the brother who got killed. I knew them all. Beautiful family, unbelievable. You would think unbelievable Christian family, but it only took a misstep or two, and everything fell apart. Everything fell apart. She winds up having an affair with a couple prominent actors, and then obviously turns her back totally on God. I tried to make contact with her somewhere along the line, but didn't work. She was at a place in Easton here, and that was the time when she was going out with the lesbian Ellen DeGeneres. So obviously she totally turned her back on it. Her mother completed a degree, got a doctorate, and she has a Christian radio station radio program out in Chicago, and she wrote a book about dealing with the world of the homosexual and being a Christian, how it doesn't match. And she's taken a lot of ridicule and heat for that, but her book is really, really good. So the point is that, and the Bible is very clear, we have a tendency to judge people on the outside. We only see what we see on the outside. God judges on the inside. Her father, Don, took a really poor judgment, a misstep. And that misstep took the entire family down, because all of them wound up in bad shape except the mother. Well, after she worked through
car slam.
Got a doctorate, and she runs a program, counseling type program. But I'll never forget Anne, as long as she was a perfect kid. I mean, it's exactly what you wanted a daughter. She was attractive, she was smart, she was good. She was my basketball manager for a while. She was talented. She could do just about anything. And you would think, man, this girl has a heart for the Lord.
This woman,
but all it took was one step, in my opinion, one step to do a National Gene commercial. That's all it took. Because that led to another, to another, to another. And in 20 years, she's living the lesbian lifestyle and drugs. Her life turned out to be, in the world's eyes, tremendous to a point. But in God's eyes, she missed everything that she had right here. You can't help but think of a Judas type that was so close to God, he could touch God, talked with God, was a friend of God, but couldn't cross that threshold to get saved, to truly be saved. And sometimes I think that's where Anne was. I think Anne knew it in her head, knew it, but just could not take that step to let God be God in her life and let the other stuff, be their stuff. She wanted that, And I got to say, for 20 years, it looked like it was the good decision. It looked like, wow, she's a world-known actress, making millions of dollars. But she lost it all. And now she's probably not in a real good place. But that's the story of how a Sunday school teacher who gives the appearance of being tremendous winds up dying of AIDS because of a misstep. In his case, maybe a couple missteps. I use the phrase one misstep because I think it's a smaller move than the big jumping in. Was he born gay and he did that? I don't think so. I think he might have had the I did not pick it up. I mean, even when he was, evidently had it, I didn't pick it up, and nor did anybody else. But I don't think it all happened. I don't think he was born that way. I don't think it happened that way. I think he took one misstep along the way, and then Satan gets in, and he takes over. And once he takes over, if you're not truly saved and you're fooling around with God and you're not really saved, you are a sitting duck when that happens, because Satan will just eat you up and chew you up. If you are saved and Satan gets involved, he can't indwell in you, but he can oppress you so much that you make a lot of bad decisions. And then God's got to take you out of that. Or God can take you out of that, I should say. So I always back up and I say this. I know there was a lot of decisions, but I think if we back it all the way up, I think there was so many of these things can start with one misstep. Because one misstep leads to two, and two leads to three, and before you know it, you're way off the road. And God's not going to be mocked. Somewhere along the line, the truth comes out. And we live in a day and a time right now where it's harder and harder and harder to discern what's going on, because everything is wrong is now right and everything that was right is now wrong. So it's really easy to confuse. It's even more important now to walk closer with the Lord, keep focused on the Lord, and be careful of one little false step. Not to belabor the point, but think of Peter. When he's out in the boat and it's getting real tossed all over the place, he sees Jesus. Lord, if you are, let me walk over there. He focuses on Jesus. He walks towards Jesus. The second he sees the stuff around him and he looks in the opposite direction, he starts sinking. But not only does he sink, he starts drifting. And that is a bad place to be, because you don't know where the drift is going to end up. But Jesus, being a loving kind person, says, reaches down and pulls him back up. But you got to be willing to not only let Jesus pull you up, but you also have to grab his hand too. Too many times they get in a situation, say, God, I can swim, God, I can take it from here. No, you can't. You take your eyes off the Lord, it doesn't take long to slide away, so to speak.